Blog Talk Radio.
Welcome to Conscious Connections Radio with your hosts, Veronica Torres and Sue Trainer, sharing insights and explorations of the channeled teachings of Elohim and the Council. Call in and join the conversation, 909-202-8674. And now, here's Veronica.
Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us for this edition of Conscious Connections. Sue and I are thrilled to be able to be with you today in this way. I've got a couple announcements before we jump into today's topic, which are the new schedule for our channeling events. We have changed from a every Wednesday night schedule to a second and fourth Wednesday night schedule. So we will channel Elohim and the Council on the second and fourth Wednesday of every month in Sonoma, 7:30 p.m. And you can join us in person if you're in the area, or you can join us on our live stream account, which you can access at new.livestream.com/Elohim. That's new.livestream.com/Elohim, Eloheim. We broadcast at 7:30 p.m. Pacific time, second and fourth Wednesdays. The other announcements I have, we are going to have new private session rates. If you're interested in booking a private session with Elohim, if you book and pay by the end of April, you will get the old rate, and the new rate will be in effect on May 1st. You don't have to have your session in April. You just have to book it in April to get the lower rate. So you can find that on my website, which is Elohim.com. Eloheim.com, and you can see testimonials there from other folks who've had private sessions, and book one for yourself. They're powerful. They're super, 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 super amazing, actually, and I would love to have one with you, so go ahead and check that out. And the last announcement is that we have a new offering here on our Blog Talk station, and we're calling it Elohim Encores. That is offering recorded sessions with Elohim, the sessions that are just standouts over the last 10 years of work we've done. I'm offering them as recorded replays, I guess. That's why we're calling them encores here on Blog Talk, so keep an eye out for that. We have one already on the channel that you can replay anytime you want, and we will have another one coming up in the next couple of weeks. I hope to do 2 encores a month and 1 live show. We're seeing how that goes with that schedule. And now that I'll be channeling fewer Wednesdays, I will actually have time to do such things. So, great. Yeah.
Would you like to talk about the other events that you have throughout the month, though? Because you do have something the first week.
Yeah. You sound very crackly. I wonder if I sound very crackly. Do I sound crackly to you?
No.
I wonder what that is. I'm plugging your headset in again. Maybe it was just loose. Yeah, on the first Monday of every month, we have a public session in Sebastopol, California. I don't broadcast that one online, but you can come in person if you're in the area. And on the third Sunday, which, as it turns out, is coming up really fast, it's April 21st. This show we're broadcasting live on the 15th of April. So this coming Sunday, we have our monthly Q&A with Elohim. And what that is at 1 p.m. Pacific, you can listen to the live stream, or you can submit a question. Elohim takes questions by email, and we answer them live. We have a great time at the Q&As. It is a very, very nice event, and I hope that folks will be able to at least listen, if not participate in asking a question. All right. Are those all the announcements? So we have the first Sunday, the second Wednesday. No. See, it's already confusing me. The first Monday, the second Wednesday, the third Sunday, and the fourth Wednesday. Those are our public events now. Was that what you were referring to?
Yes.
Pretty cool, huh? And you're not crackly anymore. How exciting is that?
That's good.
I'm very happy about that. All right, everybody, thank you for joining us. After December 21st, 2012, the end of the Mayan calendar, depends on how you like talking about it, but in general, folks saw that as an end of a big section of the Mayan calendar, at least. And a lot of light workers and a lot of spiritual people and a lot of other people who aren't even on the spiritual path believed that that was going to indicate a huge shift in consciousness, a huge shift in the political system, the financial system, you name it. It was all going to change. And a whole bunch of people woke up on December 22nd extremely disappointed. And I think for the last few months, that disappointment has been playing out in the lives of people I know in a lot of different ways. And even people who said, nothing's going to happen on December 21st. It's just another date, of which Eloheim was one of them. I think there was some, in the back of a lot of people's minds, there was still a little hope that maybe, just maybe, there would be something instantaneous occur that would indicate that we have made progress on our spiritual journey as a collective. Since then, the council's talked a lot about the various ways that we have made progress. And on Wednesday night, almost every one of the council members spoke about this could not be happening if you had not made progress. So I feel there's sensitivity to that place that a lot of people seem to be at, where it's like, I feel like it should have changed and it didn't, and now I'm sad. Or now what? Now what's actually going to work if that instantaneous thing didn't happen?
And where are we stretching ourselves? One of my questions had been, as we keep progressing, where are we actually heading, and how long is that going to take?
And could it be?
Am I there yet? No, doesn't feel like it.
Could it be now, or even now, or maybe now? And I think that's kind of what the council is trying to say: is this now is the place of such potential. And we habitually interact with it in a way that keeps us from realizing that potential. And so they try so diligently to break down the habits that we've generated as we encounter our day-to-day life. And even we talk a lot on the program about how Sue moved here from Vermont to California and how the weather is so different and the flowers are so different and the trees are so different, just the kinds we have. And when you first came here, you'd be like, what's that? I'm like, oleander. You're like, really? We don't have that, right? So there was this long conversation about, we don't have that. So it creates this opportunity for you to be jolted into seeing your world in a new way. And it hasn't been easy.
Right.
It's been delightful, but it hasn't been easy in any way, shape, or form.
Right.
But it's created in you a lot of new.
Yep. I'm trying to think of what I want to say about that. It continues. Mm-hmm. And I think since January, there's been a major shift. I mean, I've been typing some of the older transcripts from October where Elohim keeps saying it's chaos time, and it was all around the elections and things like that, but they also just said, the energies are such that it's chaos time. And I know I really felt that for 3 months. And come January, after December 21st, it felt as if things shifted and mellowed and allowed me a breath. Now I'm in a place of, when I look at where I am now as opposed to 4 months ago, the compare to you is shocking. It doesn't mean I'm comfortable. It's shockingly different. Mm-hmm. The way that I feel inside, the way that I'm able to access my heart, the way that I experience emotions now I'm just flooded. And I don't know that I'm not sure if it's springtime, which in Vermont, you kind of die in the winter. That's the process. You die in the winter, you hibernate, you let go of things, and come spring, you bust out and you start anew. And it feels a little bit like that right now, but there's something else too. I feel like there's an energetic that's coming in that's enlivening all of us. Or I shouldn't say all of us, me. I feel out of my body a lot.
Mm-hmm. Do you think when you say out of your body, you mean out of your habits, or do you mean... I just wonder if the way you used to experience your body was habitually ingrained, and as you're changing and shifting, this new experience of your body, which you're referring to as out of my body, I wonder if it's really out of my old way of living, more than it is like I'm floating in the sky, or some kind of nebulous idea like that.
It feels a little bit like it's both.
Yeah.
I've shifted so much of my old patterns and having very few distractions, like annoying people or people who will bring me down. Relieving myself of that and actually committing to working on myself has brought about, like I've said before, I've lost weight, I've taken on new habits of walking, all these things. But I also feel as if I'm walking about 2 feet up in the air, that's where that's where I'm hanging out.
Yeah.
And I have to work a lot to bring myself back in to my body.
And when you're walking 2 feet in the air, do you feel as though that's a negative, or is it just new?
It's very disorienting.
Yeah, disorienting, I get. But is it a negative?
I want to say it's scary.
I would agree with that.
And I can change it. It's not a negative. I know in my heart it's not a negative.
Yeah. I think that's one of the things that happens is if you imagined, just using yourself as an example, if you imagined that on December 22nd it instantaneously did change, how hard that would have been compared to this gradual 3-month process where you're experiencing life in quite a different way and you're still having a hard time getting used to it. But if it had just all of a sudden changed, I really just don't think Homo sapiens are built to embrace instantaneous change well. Not the mass populace. Certain individuals are like, I can do it, no problem. Other people, which means like 85% of the people that I've ever met, are like, I need it to be gradual. I need it to be a dimmer switch. I can't have it be a flipper switch. It just doesn't work for me that way. And I hear a lot of people who come to the meetings and get private sessions who are just like so fed up with things not changing in their lives. And so it must change, that they go, it must change now, is what they're saying. And it must change now in some big, huge way that I can't deny. And the subtleties of transformation, which are much kinder and much gentler and much easier on the physical body, get what I believe ignored because there's constant lookout for the big thing they can't deny instead of really noticing the things that are changing. It'd be like if we went from it snowing to it being 110 degrees. That's not going to feel good to just about everybody. Anytime the weather does one of those drastic things, people are like, ugh, whether they're happy about it getting warmer or disappointed they got colder. That drastic thing, we're just not built for drastic change.
Right.
And yet spiritually, we seem to be infatuated with the idea that drastic change is going to be the answer. And I just don't think it's true. And I think we suffer as a collective, we suffer because of that mistaken identity, that mistaken belief. We may want it, hey, I love hot weather. I want it to be 105. Do I want it to go from 70 to 105? Not really. Give me some time. Now, I can hear the people going, but, I don't want it to take 20 more years. Yeah, I get it. That I can totally get behind. I don't want it to take 20 more years either. I just don't want it to take 20 seconds.
Well, and I actually believe it's not going to take 20 years.
I agree with you.
I mean, the difference between January and now is shocking. And it's not just me. I mean, I'm in this class now with three women who are under 25 and 3 women who are over 50. I think. And all of them are having incredible emotional experiences that are foreign to them. And they're opening and they're revealing themselves in ways that they've never done before. I just feel like there's something cracked open recently.
And again, not to belabor the point too much, But I think it's really important to acknowledge that crack open is happening in small-ish or very small, incremental sort of steps. Elohim calls it the crooked road because it's not a straight path, but this thing changes, that thing changes, and you incrementally shift rather than the big huge change. You know, the big huge change looks like natural disaster.
Right.
Not very many people do well when all of a sudden big huge change happens.
Right.
Like, I've been thinking about moving anyway, and now my house is gone. I guess I'm moving. That's not the way people work well. At least, I'm talking, of course, in a generalization, but I think it's at least 85% of the population, maybe light workers, the people we normally talk to on a regular basis, would be better at that change because we've been training ourselves to be better at a big change.
Right.
But, you know, when people talk about, oh, we need to just get rid of this system and get rid of that system, I'm like, okay. What are you going to do about the 85% of people who that's not going to work for them? And they're going to be scared, really scared as they get. And how are you not going to match energy with that much fear when you still struggle with your own fears on a daily basis? I think we just have to be careful what we wish for, because I think in the wishing for it to be that way, we're ignoring the step-by-step that's actually happening like you're representing, right? Well, folks, why don't you get in on this conversation? You can call. It's really cool. Or you can Skype. Isn't that nice? They make it so easy. 909-202-8674. 909-202-8674. And I think you push button number 1 or something like that. It'll say to talk to the host, press this button. And then it puts you on hold, and then I click on your name. So give us a call, 909-202-8674. The other thing that was really super powerful that Elohim's been talking about a lot lately is this thing they're calling the 50th step. And the 50th step refers to our habit of considering a new project, and rather than being in the moment that we're in the consideration, thinking about a step that's way, 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 way down the process, being intimidated by that step and having that cause us not to act in the first step. And a good example of this, I was chatting on Facebook with somebody yesterday. I've self-published all of my books, 21, 22, I can't remember, of our books we self-published. And I was writing about self-publishing on Facebook, and someone put a chat in there that said, you know, I really want to self-publish my book, but I can't afford to. And I wrote back and said, have you finished your book? Is it done? And if it's done, has it been beta read? You know, have you had friends and family read it to see what errors they catch and give you feedback? Because none of those things cost a dime other than time. And until you've done those things, you're still on that step. There's no money to spend until, you know, of course, other people want to do the book cover first. Sure, I understand. But in this person's case, until the book's done, you're on get the book done step.
Right.
And to be afraid that you can't afford the process before you've got the process started is the 50th step tool. And I find myself, both with Elohim and in my own personal conversations, saying, is that the step you're on? A lot lately. A lot.
How does that work? Well, I understand that. But there's a piece of me a part of me that's wondering about when you're in the moment. If you're trying to be in the moment and not have past or future involved, how does that tie into that?
Well, like right now I'm working on a book about money. And I'm 96% done with it. And the step I'm on is to write up Elohim's teachings on the law of attraction, which they have a very non-traditional way of teaching the law of attraction, and combine that with the idea of creating your reality and address that to a audience that may have absolutely no idea what either one of those things mean. This is a big deal, you know. I got to get it right. And I'm drawing from material all the way back to 2007 to get it together. Because Elohim doesn't talk about law of attraction now, but they did back when, like, The Secret was coming out and stuff. And so drawing all that stuff together and interacting with it now, I have to be really in the moment when I do it. Because if I'm thinking about the cover of the book, to use an example like we talked about before, while I'm trying to write that, I can't do it. I can't be in that moment and do that work if I'm not there present with it right then. And that's one of the things that I've had a lot of trouble with in the past is I have so many projects and so many things I'm excited and fascinated by that I tend to, while I'm on one, think about the others. And Eloheim slapped my energetic butt about that. They're like, you just don't get to do that anymore. It's making you crazy and it's stressing you out. It's not good for your body. So now when I'm on a project, I say, if I think about something else, I stop. And I say, make your choice. You're either where you've been or over there. You're not in both. That's my big tension that I have. Did that address your question?
Yeah.
So, some people will say, well, how can you be in the moment if you want to plan a vacation or plan a book?
Right.
And the thing is you can say, you know what, we should go to XYZ later in the year. Okay, that sounds good. We need a vacation. That sounds good. And you say, is it time to buy the airplane tickets? Nah, we can do that next month. Okay, so if you sit around thinking about the airplane tickets between now and when you're actually going to sit down to the website and order them, that's not the step you're on. And if you can't stop thinking about the airline tickets, then go order the airline tickets. Right? Because it doesn't help. It doesn't help to use planning and obsessive thinking as a substitute for attending to what's now. Because what's now may be, I really don't want to do those dishes. So instead, I'm going to think about the fact that I need to buy airline tickets in a month. Or I don't really want to have that conversation with my family. So I'll think about the fact, well, I'm planning a vacation for them. So instead of talking to them about their chores, I'm going to think about having a vacation.
Let's go back to, this topic is it going to get any easier? Mm-hmm. So let's talk about that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, then we, of course, have to define the term easier. That's the other thing that seems to be happening a lot lately, is you got to define your terms before you can have a conversation. And does easier mean, well, what does easier mean to you? Yeah.
Easier, I was going to say, meant that I felt happier.
Okay. So the question really isn't, is it going to get easier? Is, am I going to feel happier? Right? See, this is how this happens. I know, it's crazy. Because for me, when someone says, is the spiritual journey going to get easier? For me, it means, am I going to have more energy? Mm-hmm. And so that's why I changed the channeling schedule, because that's making it easier for me. If I had more energy, then I feel like it's getting easier. Now, I have a friend who I know easier would mean clear examples of seeing consciousness move in the world. Okay, then that's where you focus there. Right? So there's a definition thing that has to happen. And if anybody wants to call or just chat in the chat room, what your definition of when is it going to get easier is. We've just given 3, right? That's where talking about these things, we have to be really careful when using these general words. Because when you use general words, you thought easier was happier. I thought easier was more energy. So if you're like, when's it going to get easier? I'm like, when I can lay on the couch for a whole day and not feel like anybody's trying to get time with me. You might be saying, when I have someone to go to the beach with.
Right.
Exact opposite kind of an answer.
Right.
For me, easier is having nothing on my calendar that day where anybody else gets to pull on my time. And you're like, you want companionship to go tourist about. Good thing you're not looking at me for it.
And actually, thinking about that even more, to say that I want to feel happier, actually, I just want to allow myself to feel the happiness that's around me, because I actually am living probably what I've been thinking about this. I think I wanted to live this way for years. So here I am, but I'm not really. So easier would be allowing myself to enjoy it.
Okay. So we've gotten even more detailed.
Right.
So allowing yourself, when is it going to get easier? When I allow myself to feel the happiness that I know is already in my life.
Right. Exactly.
Different definition. taking a big deep breath. So it's like, this is supposed to be a radio show, not a private session.
Well, the other thing I do, I don't know how many have participated in the meetings where Fred has come in and provided energetic work to us, to allow us to feel various things. But I also think they did just a lot of other energetic work on us, and I guess I'm wondering how that has impacted us over the last 2 or 3 weeks. What do you think of it?
What's interesting for me, and I just, that didn't work. Trying to fix two cracked headset. Now I've done something really bad. Fred came in and said, okay, we're going to have, they're going to show the energy of level 10 or whatever. And then everybody had a serious variety of experiences. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. And those variety of experiences extended from seeing me look different than I normally look, to having colors coming off of my body, to have all kinds of physical reactions. One person lost their voice for 17 hours. All sorts of really, really trippy things occurred. And I think that was Fred saying, here's an opportunity. Here's an opportunity for you to see this big, shocking thing you might want. And now you know it's there. It's like a reassurance, right? They said to give you hope that exploring that can be possible. I'm sorry, I got distracted trying to fix your headset, and I lost track of your question. I know you were talking about Fred, but
how the energetic that he presented to us may be helping us now.
Yeah, I'm not sure I know the answer to that question, to tell you the truth, other than to give that real clear picture of hope, that real clear picture of this is possible, right? It is possible to have these energetic experiences that you've wanted for a long time, and you are ready now to be having those energetic experiences. They're available to you. It's possible. I think that's the main thing that Fred was doing, was saying, it is possible, it is possible, it is possible, it is possible. Yeah. That's what they were trying to do the most. And then, we had Fred come in, and then we had Eloheim the next week talk to people about their experiences and sort of groom us for how we could have the experience in a more, I don't know what the right word would be, comfortable way maybe. Mm-hmm. And then brought Fred in again to do it again. I think it's amazing. We probably should cut out make like a short, just cut those 2 meetings and paste them together so people can just have that Fred, Eloheim, Fred, and so they can see what their experience would be. Oh, look, we have a caller. Let's talk to a caller. Hello, caller from 804 area code.
Hi, it's Hayat.
Hello, Hayat. How are you today?
I'm good. I wanted to go back to a little bit back to what you were talking about with the spiritual journey getting easier, and it might be a slightly different avenue that I'm going down. But I remember that I used to have a bunch of friends who would say after everything ease and grace, mm-hmm. I would like change to happen in my life, but I want it with ease and grace. And I feel like I kind of got the idea that that as I grew spiritually and my vibration went up, that I would experience things with more ease and grace. And and now I kind of understand that's not exactly how it works. At least it doesn't seem quite like that. It seems like I can create things in a smoother way, but it doesn't necessarily mean that if I'm asking for what is my highest, what's the highest,
mm-hmm.
Sometimes there may be a bump in the road, and I was just curious about what you all thought about that.
Well, I just picked up our first book, The Choice for Consciousness 1, and opened it to the terms section in the back, and I'm looking at the definition of grace that Elohim has given us. It fits nicely in with what you're saying. Grace is living your life knowing that everything that is happening for your growth. I gracefully recognize this experience is here to teach me. I don't have to approach this as a victim. I can approach this as a creator. That's being in a state of grace.
Yeah.
It's not, it doesn't bug me, right?
Right.
That's not, we're not looking for it doesn't bug me. We're looking for it's here and I'm going to experience it in a way that I grow from it.
Exactly, yeah.
Does that make sense to you?
Oh, yeah. I mean, I definitely know that that's true. I just was exploring that old belief and seeing how much it's still alive in me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I was listening to a TED Talk the other day. I've got it right here. Let me just say the name of it. It was Dan Ariely, Ariely, and it was about what makes us feel good about our work. And I really enjoyed this talk. In fact, I'm going to listen to it again because I got so much out of it the first time I feel like I could get more. And he starts off with saying, when people climb mountains, they don't always talk so much about what it was like to be on the top as much as they talk about like frostbite and the cold and then we did this and then we did that. And, that's like the accomplishment. And being on top of the mountain is sort of the reward. But the I did this hard thing is what people talk about. And, we were at base camp and there was this big storm and but did you get to the summit? Yeah, I got to the summit. But did you remember that story about the base camp? It's heightened by the fact that when you climb Mount Everest, you can only spend a few minutes at the top anyway. You spend months and years planning, and then you get to go, and then it's like the hardest part is the part down. So you got to get going before you. It struck me as the journey, right? If we were just here for conclusions, I know it's hard to buy into that. I have a hard time buying into that sometimes, but it's still true. We're not here for the conclusion.
Veronica is looking at me as I look at her quizzically. Really?
Well, what's the conclusion anyway? I mean, life goes on, and there are always things to look forward to, and there's never really a conclusion. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Yeah, it's kind of like
I guess
when...
a mountain.
No, go ahead.
I was just going to say, I guess climbing a mountain, that's an analogy that does have a summit, but most things in life aren't that clear-cut.
Right.
And that's why I think the compare you to you thing is just golden. And the Visionaries talked about it a lot on Wednesday's meeting, and I think we can't get away from the power in compare you to you, which looks like I only know I've made progress by comparing myself to how I know I would have reacted to this in the past. Not by revisiting the past, but comparing how I would have reacted to this in the past. So when something happens now, you go, oh, my God, that didn't really bug me. That didn't really bug me.
Yeah.
I would have totally drove me crazy a year ago. And then the Visionaries pointed out, don't go and think about 20 years ago or a year ago. You stay in now because now's the place where you're actually having a transformed experience. So
yeah, that's a great tool.
It's underutilized even by myself. I think it's underutilized because I think we're really not good at patting ourselves on the back, and we hope other people will pat us on the back. And then when they do, if they don't do it just in the right way, we don't feel back patted. So, yes, compare you to you, right? Compare you to you. Cool. And that's the summit. That's the summit. That moment, at least it is for me, that moment where I go, oh, my, that would have driven me crazy 6 months ago. And now I'm just like, whatever. Whatever.
Yeah,
that's the summit.
That's how the journey gets easier. It's that perception of look at where I came from and, I'm handling everything with so much more grace, to use the word that was used earlier.
Yeah.
So that makes sense. Cool.
And then we get to climb some more and have another summit someplace. some higher mountain.
Yeah.
Because we don't rest on our laurels either. I mean, there's no laurel resting going on around here. Overachieving light workers do not know how to laurel rest.
Well, I thought it was funny when I posted on the Facebook page that I was having a private session coming up, and I was excited about it, and other people were saying, "Yay for you," kind of a thing. And I was thinking, there aren't a lot of places on Earth where you're likely to see a bunch of people like saying, "All right, way to go, you're going to uncover more stuff to deal with, and you're going to, it's kind of funny because it's true."
Yeah. And they're also saying, yay for you taking care of you, putting yourself first, prioritizing you, investing in you, giving yourself the opportunity to live in whatever it is that is the spiritual journey getting easier for you, whatever that is.
Yeah.
Wow.
Good.
Thank you so much for calling in, Hayat. I sure appreciate it.
All right. Bye-bye.
Have a lovely afternoon. Bye-bye.
You guys too. Bye-bye.
Anybody else? Anyone else want to chime in on the phone? You can call 909-202-8674. We had a question in the chat. What makes the spiritual journey experienced as being hard, maybe even harder than it should be? What do you think? What makes the spiritual journey experienced as being hard?
God, that just depressed me.
Okay, I'll answer that question. You can think about it a minute. I think what makes the spiritual journey experienced as being hard is the fact that there's no external way of marking progress. There's no way of getting a star or a degree or letters after your name, and a lot of times we'll have huge spiritual transformation, and nobody will be able to tell. Because it's not necessarily that you pop up perky and happy and, yay, look at me. It's like, oh, I just realized I've been doing that for 40 years, and that's a huge breakthrough. And in any other kind of a community, you'd get like a A+, or the professor would point you out in the class, or maybe you'd get a tassel on your hat to walk in front of people and they play that song. And in the spiritual world, you're like, ooh, good, maybe I'll get out of bed today because I had that revelation and I won't feel quite so slow. And I think with no external validation or evidence to the fact that you're making progress, you have to compare you to you. And I think that makes it an extra step harder because you're doing something challenging and then you have to make it. It's like the climbing the mountain thing. We're not actually climbing a mountain. If we were, we could stand there and say, look, I got my GPS. It tells me I'm at 14,000 feet. Therefore, I have proof I did that. I have proof. I'm going to take a picture. I'm going to post it on Facebook, and everybody in my community is going to know I did it.
I think that's the thing. I would love to have something like that. It gave me a meter of how close I am. Just tell me how close I am, because it's been years in the making.
Yeah.
And like I said earlier, I think it's not going to take another 50 years to get that much further. But I think when I felt that depression kind of kick in on that question, there's a part of me that wants to say, if you were better, it would be easier. Here we go again with easier. And I will say in the last month, I had transformational experiences where I shed so much of some past stuff that I swear I felt like, they use the example of being the caterpillar in the chrysalis just dissolving and then reforming to be the butterfly. And I swear I did that.
But okay, just don't want to interrupt, because then as a butterfly, you have to learn what it's like to be a butterfly. So if you're looking...
But don't they look happy? They just float off. Life is good. They land on a flower. And they go to Mexico.
Here comes my cat.
Isn't that where they go?
Them. You're like, wait, I didn't have this problem when I was a caterpillar. Cats never noticed me when I was a caterpillar. I was green. I blended in. Now I'm this big monarch butterfly with these beautiful orange wings, and people notice me. Birds are trying to dive bomb me. Wait a second. This wasn't supposed to be hard. This was supposed to be the easy part. Now that I've transformed and become beautiful, I'm getting chased by other animals that never noticed me before.
Good point.
Your example kind of dissolved right there.
No, I think that's good, though. I think it's a reminder that it's just a new experience, and it needs to be viewed with fascination.
Yeah. That's the answer. If you'd like to call, oh, look, I was just going to say, if you'd like to call in, and we got a caller. Let's take a caller. Come on. There it is. Hello, Athena's Mind. Welcome to the program.
Hi.
How are you? Are you there?
Yes, I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can. Where are you located?
I'm in Jordan, in the Hashemite Kingdom of Jordan.
Wow. How exciting is that? Well, welcome to the program. We've been talking today about when is the spiritual journey going to get easier, and we found that we have to define easy to start with. Did you want to add in on that or have something else to say?
Well, I was going to ask you, when will it get easier?
Well, you have to define what you define as easier.
Oh, okay.
What does easier look like to you is what we found, because Sue thought it meant feeling happier, and I felt like it meant having more energy. So we're realizing that the definition of easier is important for each of us to know what our definition is.
That's a good point. And I guess I would be with Sue, because I would say happier.
Yeah.
Happier.
And then Sue realized after we talked about it some more that it wasn't so much that she needed to find happiness, but allow herself to experience the happiness that she already recognized was in her life. That one. Huh?
Yeah, that would make sense to me, although I would say maybe add a little bit more fun.
Ah, so you want to experience the happiness that's already in your life through having more fun.
Yeah, maybe it would be just joy, right?
Well, I don't know. We're figuring out what your individual definition of it is. That's what we've learned today, is that we have this individual definition. So is yours, it sounds like fun is a real word to you. Joy sounded sort of like a woo-woo word to me, but fun sounded real when you said it. I want to have more fun. And that's when it's going to be easier, is when I'm having more fun.
Exactly.
All right, so what's fun to you? See how this goes? Never stops.
Traveling and meeting people, just being out. I've been inside a lot for my spiritual journey for the past couple of years, probably because I'm in a Muslim country. Mm-hmm. But it would be nice to get out a little bit more and have a little more adventure. Yeah.
And is that impossible to do within the country that you're currently living? Do you have to get on an airplane to have that experience?
Definitely, yeah. Because even when you go swimming, they don't even wear bathing suits. And I'm just like, you cannot swim in clothes, but they do.
Like pants and shirts?
Yeah, dresses for the women. Dresses and even a headscarf. I think it looks ridiculous.
You could
but if you don't, then people will think you want sex. So,
Yeah, because that's what it always means. Yeah, that's a whole conversation we can't get into right now, can we?
No. Yes, on an airplane. On an airplane.
Let's go back to that. Not trying to understand how people can stay alive swimming in clothing that's going to soak up a lot of water. We don't go into the 12-foot pool in that outfit. It's not allowed. You have to go swimming in 4 feet where you can stand up. And yeah, okay. Get off that, Veronica.
Well, I was just saying, because I used to live on the Red Sea, and, so you'd go to the beach, and I would like to get a suntan, but I can't show my arms, so and I can't show my legs, and so basically it's just my face, so.
Yeah, and then you're like, and all that does is give me wrinkles. Like, this is not working out for me.
Well, I know, and tan is not beautiful here anyway. They want to be white. So anyway, not to change the subject yet. So mine would be travel and adventure.
Okay, so you sound like you have an American accent. Is that true? Are you an American by?
True. I'm from Southern California. Yeah.
What in the world are you doing all the way over there?
I married a Jordanian man 15 years ago, and when the economy went sour in America, we decided to take this opportunity to move to Jordan so that his family could meet our children and so they could become bilingual, of which they are. So
that was a success.
It was.
And that was a 15-year-old plan?
No. The economy went sour. I think it was like 2009.
Okay.
When we made it. It was just like one of those quick decisions, and I'm glad I did it.
Nice.
But I think I'm ready to move on.
Yeah, it feels like it. You're ready to move your body out of that country, at least for short periods of time. So now that have you considered how to get some travel going on for yourself? Or is this just coming into clarity right now?
This is the part where I'm trying to figure out. I'm just one of those people that I can do a lot of things, which is almost bad, because I have a hard time deciding on what is exactly I want to do, and I love many places. So the other thing is trying to put my finger on where would I go?
Well, I would vote for some place where it's allowed that you get a tan, because that seems important to you.
Yeah, I'm thinking Greece.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you even have to wear a bathing suit top in Greece? I mean, that's the real deal there.
Yeah, actually you do. They do wear, I mean, Europeans really don't, but they do. It's Greek. The religion there is Greek Orthodox, so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
no,
not all women wear bathing suit tops over there. You can actually run around and not be arrested without having your top on if you're at the beach, right?
That's true. And, I don't know that I could do that. I don't even know that I would wear a bikini now after being covered for the last 4 years. It's now I become all modest.
I bring that up because what's interesting is, it's interesting in this whole day's show, what's been very interesting to me is to find the thing that seems quite unique that reflects easy to each of us. And for you, what's interesting is the emphasis you did put on was, I want to get a tan. I'm from Southern California. I want to be in the sun without having to cover my body up completely. And then you bring up Greece, and I was just thinking, heck yeah, man. Go all the way to Topless Beach and get the whole thing you want and see what you learn. And you're like, well, dial it back a little, Veronica. It's like, but it's nice to go someplace where it's an option. It's nice to empower yourself, right? That's just what I'm thinking. It's called
freedom. It's freedom. And, I was always a very, very free person. I lived in Denmark, and they had topless beaches. So I did do the topless thing, and I even came back to Laguna Beach, believe it or not, and convinced my friend to go topless on a beach.
Now that's rowdy. In California, we don't do that very often. Yeah.
I was like 18 though, so when you're young. But so I realized that definitely freedom, personal freedom, is probably one of the most important things in life.
So there you go. Now you know what your definition of easy and when is it going to get easier will look like you pursuing being able to have that more readily in your life. Right?
Thank you. Yeah, you're right.
Seems to be the path. Seems to be the path we're on today. Well, thank you so much for calling all the way over there. And welcome to our community. It's a joy to have you participating in the conversation today.
Thank you. And just where are you from?
We're in Sonoma, California, which is about 45 minutes north of San Francisco in the wine country.
Oh, I know that. I've been there. I've done the wine tasting gig and eaten at the CIA.
Yep. Culinary Institute of America.
Yeah, delicious food there.
Totally. And how did you find out about our show?
Actually, my friend Nakota in England. She's tuning in. Maybe if she's listening, why don't you call in, Nakota?
It's amazing. It's amazing. The world has gotten smaller in a beautiful way, hasn't it?
It sure has. It sure has. And especially with Blog Talk Radio, being able to tune into like-minded folks, it's been very cool.
Well, we hope that you will continue to be part of our community. We have all kinds of things going on, and you can learn more on my website, Eloheim.com. That's ELOHEIM.com. Thank you so much. We really enjoyed getting to know you.
And you. Thanks a lot. Bye now.
Bye-bye. That was awesome. I love that.
Then the question is, if she doesn't go and explore those options, that's fascinating too.
Yeah, because then there's an option of finding within yourself the sense of freedom that you would get if you went running around. And then again, whenever people want to travel, wherever you go, there you are. You take yourself with you. Like she said, after 4 years, I'm going to be more modest. That was really, really aware of her to know that, I want to get a tan, but I'm going to be more modest than I used to be. Oh, maybe this is the friend, the aforementioned friend. Let's see.
Hello.
Welcome to the program.
Hi.
Are you the
How are you?
UK friend?
Yes, it is.
Oh. And how did you learn about our show? We're tracking it across the globe.
Okay. I just came onto your show, so I would say I just followed the signs. I followed my inner and found you.
Great. That's beautiful. And what do you think would make your spiritual journey easier? How do you define easier?
Oh, for me personally is on the the earthly aspect, meditations.
Meditation
day.
makes your spiritual journey easier?
Oh yes.
And have you been doing that for a long time?
Yes.
Very cool. And do you feel like your spiritual journey has changed in the last few months? We were talking earlier about how people are recognizing some gradual but significant changes over the last few months.
Oh, yes. Well, for me personally, definitely. It hasn't been gradual. It's been like on a train, speeding up.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
And how, can you share something with us, a specific that you felt changed recently?
Okay, yes. My vibrations have changed from last Wednesday. I was getting very strong pulse sensations in my pineal gland.
Wow. And how do you think that's affecting your day-to-day life?
I'm seeing a lot more things. A lot more.
As in colors and things like that? Or what does it look like?
I see colours. For instance, I went somewhere and I actually saw somebody physically change.
Ooh, say more about that.
Okay.
You can't just say that.
I hope everybody.
I'm going to settle in here.
Sat down because it was a bit of a moment. I was talking to my husband, and all of a sudden we was on this train, and I looked at this person. I could feel I was being pulled to this person, and all of a sudden their eyes suddenly they blinked, and then they rolled back and they went black, and I thought, oh my God, okay, there you go.
Whoa!
So I knew immediately what it was.
What was it?
Well, put it like this, not from the light.
Oh, really?
Felt like it was someone who was a more of a negative force.
Yes.
Wow,
yes.
Is that the first time you've ever had that happen?
To that extent, yeah, on the physical, in the sense of like seeing their eyes like that, yes, definitely.
Yeah.
But no, on other aspects.
Now, seeing someone that you perceive as from the dark, of course that is going to generate a response in you, but I'm more interested in talking about just the fact that you were able to have that perception visually. Not so much your reaction to that person, but your reaction to that changed ability within yourself. How did you react to that?
I just know it's part of my journey.
So
know.
Was it easy for you to all of a sudden be like, wow, I can see this guy's eyes change? It didn't.
Yes.
It didn't for you.
Yes. It was. It's the first. Like my first reaction was automatically, did I just see that? And then I knew that I saw it, and then it was like, okay.
That's nice. You were ready for that.
Yeah.
She was ready because it didn't scare the crap out of her. That's how the ways that you know. You're ready for those kinds of transformational moments when it doesn't make you have a huge survival instinct response.
Yeah.
Like I couldn't have channeled Fred in the beginning. There's no way. I wasn't ready, right?
Right. I'm just wondering, then what? Then what do you do when you see something like that?
Well,
there's going to be.
Go ahead.
There's going to be much there. All I know is for me, because I've been on my journey for 15, 20 years.
Yeah.
Yeah, 15, 20 years. Nothing, in a sense, shocks me. With everything that I've seen, I've experienced, and there's a reason why everything is occurring, especially with the work that I do.
Yeah.
And it's like, to me, it's just part of me evolving, full stop.
Beautiful. That's exquisite. Well, thank you so much for being part of the conversation today. I really appreciate it.
That is my pleasure.
Have a wonderful evening, because it's night for you. See?
Yes.
Being aware of time zones.
Yes. And
Thank
you have
you
a
so
lovely
much.
afternoon or morning. Bye.
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 We have another caller. Shall we just jump right to it? Come on. Hello, caller from area code 248. Hello? 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 No? Oh, well. Maybe they're there. Maybe they're... It's not counting, so they're probably not there. Let's see if we can try again. Hello? Okay, try again. It didn't work. Every once in a while, that's just what happens. So, you know, you were talking earlier, Sue, about the various things that are going on in your class, things that are happening to you for the very first time. And so when you say to her, what happens next, I'm going to ask you, what happens next for you?
Well, I feel like her experience is so different than mine. You know, I got to see auras and colors shooting out of, you know, a head, and I got to feel energy run through my body through a channel in my chest, which was very unusual. Never had that before.
Yeah.
But
okay, I knew a but was coming.
Yeah.
And
that is a very positive, light-filled thing for me.
Yeah.
Seeing somebody's eyes and saying they're from the dark side, that would not be something I'd want to experience.
Yeah, that's why we're talking about your experience, not hers. Because she had the experience that was correct for her, right? And it was, you might throw it into the ESP category, extrasensory perception, right? It's in the category of not usually happening to everybody. Right. You had your version of that. And that's why I didn't talk about the guy in the dark and all that. I want to talk about her experience, because I think that's the part that's, you know, that's good for everybody to hear about. And you're having this stuff happen. Did it scare you when you saw the colors and the lights and the channel in the chest and all that? How did you react?
Yeah, that was pretty awesome.
Yeah, you were ready for it.
Yeah.
There is something about now I'm ready for it. And I can hear people saying, I'm ready. I'm ready.
But, you know, I had to do so much to get into this class. I had to spend thousands of dollars on a tooth that I didn't want to spend so that I would say, damn it, I'm going to take this massage class. I wouldn't have taken the massage class until I went through a huge trigger about spending money. And then, I guess my point is, you have to say you're ready, but you also have to make another step. It's not, there's a receiving and there's an action. You have to do both. And I'm finding that more and more. And sometimes the action is just a request. Please, now, this is what I'd love to feel. But if I just sit around waiting, it doesn't work.
Yeah. And that, I think, is also extremely individualized. That whole process is extremely individualized and very, very different. Now, there is a tool that Eloheim's come up with recently that I think can support that. And I don't know what they're going to call it officially, but I think of it as the opposite tool. And a lot of times what happens is something comes up in life. What's a good something comes up in life? I want a date this weekend. And no one comes across your radar to go on a date with, so you say, fine, I just don't want a date. Like, you try to take the opposite of your initial impulse to make that initial impulse go away. And the opposite is, I don't want a date. Well, the truth is, you did want a date, or else you wouldn't have thought it in the first place. So the opposite isn't a solution, it's a coping mechanism. It's a coping mechanism for the discomfort you feel about the fact that the thing you said you wanted, you're not getting. And that's usually all we have to work with, is we have the thing we want and the opposite of it. Eloheim's talking lately a lot. So I know it's important when they keep bringing it up that we get into the feel of, instead of doing the opposite, use fascination to find a third way. So it's, I want to date this weekend. Oh, I haven't met anybody this week. rather than go into, I don't want to date, and try to sell yourself on that. What can I be fascinated about right now? I can be fascinated about the fact that the weather's beautiful. I can be fascinated about the fact that the cat just did something funny. And it's not that you're giving up on the idea of having a date or not having a date. It's that you're being in the now. You're experiencing what's really going on for you, and you're putting yourself in a very magnetized place, because you're not in desperation or resisting your true feelings. You're in, I still have the desire to have a date, and I have fascination about my surroundings, fascination about my experience. The third way tool, maybe we'll call it. I don't know. It's got to come up with a name. It's got to be short, too. It's easier for the books.
Which sounds to me like just going back to what is true now, though.
It is a version of what is true now, but they clarified this in a private session. They talked about what is true now is a way, come on, Veronica, remember. What is true now is a way of bringing yourself into the moment, like getting back into your body, becoming aware. What is true now? I'm wearing black pants. That brings you into the moment, quiets the mind, helps the past and future be quiet. And then what are you going to do now that you're in the moment? Are you going to go right back into, I want to date this weekend? Or are you going to allow yourself to say, the urge to think about wanting a date, the temptation to obsess about wanting a date is still there. And I can say, I'm wearing black pants, but it's, I'm wearing black pants, I want a date. I'm wearing black pants, I want a date. I'm wearing black pants, I want a date. It's, I'm wearing black pants, what am I fascinated about here? And then just pick something. I'm fascinated about the fact that the carpet is brown. I can be fascinated about that. And if that's not fascinating, I'm not going to pretend I'm fascinated about the brown carpet. Okay, you don't have to find something to pretend to be fascinated about. Find something. That plant I've had for 40 years, and it's still growing strong. That I can spend time on that. And it's a choice between I want to date, which isn't getting me anywhere, or I don't want to date, which is a lie and a coping mechanism, and what is my current experience really like? And my current experience, being in my current experience, allows me to magnetize in people who match my current experience, rather than trying to match someone with the desperation I feel, or trying to pull someone in when I'm resisting the truth of the fact that I want someone. Yeah. If you'd like to join the conversation, we'd sure love to have you on the program. 909-202-8674. That's 909-202-8674. When you call, whatever they say to push to talk to the host, I think it's number 1. Do that, and you'll come into our queue, and we can talk to you, and we'd love to do that. I'm just going to scroll back. Joe says, I feel what's easier means feeling more natural in my day, coping with triggers and unexpected changes like missing an appointment or problems with my son affecting me so emotionally. Feeling more natural in the day. So dealing with triggers in a new way sounds like the spiritual journey. And again, Compare You to You is going to be the place to get some evidence of progress in that area. Evidence of progress, because we don't have that GPS thing. It'd be fun if we did. There was another one here in the chat. The definition of ease, Sweet Brown gave the definition of ease being constantly in clarity. Sounds yummy to me. We talked about it the other day, that clarity for me, we had this conversation that we were talking about the heart and how the heart fits into all of this. And for me, clarity generates a sense of movement in my body. Not action, but a sense of, energy, right? Remember I said earlier it would be easy if I had more energy. So clarity gives me that sense of fuel, maybe is another way of saying it, fuel. And then I get to direct that fuel using trajectory to say, that's where I want to direct this fuel. And that's what easy looks like to me, is to have that buildup of fuel, that clarity equals fuel for me. That's good to remember. Good to be more clear on. Clarity and clarity. How about we have a little song? Let's take a teeny break, have a song, and then when we come back, let's have some callers. We'd love to hear what it's like for you, what you think would make your spiritual journey easier. How do you define easier? We're having such an interesting conversation about that. Call 909-202-8674 during the song and get in the queue, and we'll pick you up when we come back. All right. How about this one? This is from 10-Foot Tone. My buddies 10-Foot Tone did this song, and I love it. And so I'm going to play it for you. It's called Maybe. Here it comes.
maybe it's when I walked outside. I thought I knew where I was going. Or maybe it was when I first met you. How we thought we might have known where we were going, where we were headed. Or maybe that you said nothing ever really ever mattered. We're all so young and we need to learn to let go. I mean, that's the only way to grow. Learn to let go. 'Cause you never really know, but you can keep on guessing. And if you think you know, you're still guessing. And those that say they know, they're still guessing. Maybe say you said nothing ever really ever mattered. We're all so young and we need to learn to let go. I mean, that's the only way to grow. Learn to let go. Learn to let go. Because you never really know, but you can keep on guessing.
Okay. Blog Talk is totally fired with its song problems. I took every song off. I listened to all of them on my computer, made sure they were right, and loaded them all up to Blog Talk again. And they still sound like John singing to us from under the water. I don't know why that keeps happening. I will be calling Blog Talk later to find out, because that's just not okay. Anyway, I'm sorry you guys don't get to hear a pretty song. I love that song. And you don't get to hear it because I just cannot figure out why it keeps sounding like John's underwater. Anyway, back to the show. No more complaining. I guess what we need to do is load up a song from some other source, but it's an MP3 and it sounds perfect on my computer. How am I supposed to fix that? Rick. We need to ask Rick if he's ever had that problem. All right. 909-202-8674. We only have about 20 minutes left in the program. If you want to contribute, now is the time to call in and push number 1 to talk to us. 909-202-8674. What would the spiritual journey being easier look like to you? Easier. What an interesting word.
Well, let's say we determine what's easier for us.
Okay.
Then what?
Step by step. All right? Step by step. Once you know, and you've got the bit in your teeth, as they say, then you can set your trajectory to, like we were talking about the gal who was like, I want a tan. Okay, you need to go someplace where it's allowed to take off all that covering and lie on the beach and do your thing. I think the sort of the wail of when is it going to get easier is the step everyone stands on, expecting some big lightning bolt from the sky to tell them, rather than figuring out what easier means and dealing with that. We have a caller. Let's take that call. Hello, caller from the 707 area code. You must be close by.
I am.
I recognize that voice. How are you?
Greetings and salutations.
Mr. John, what's up with you today? What's easier to you?
A big dose of certainty would be nice.
Sure. Okay. Would you like to come up with something that's actually possible to attain, or do you want to?
Well, I mean, you didn't say it had to be attainable. You just said what would you like?
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
With you.
So, animal, vegetable, or mineral, where do you want your certainty to land first?
Oh, any and all.
No, you got to pick. We can't do this if we be general.
What were my choices?
What part of your life do you want certainty on first? If you had to pick.
I've kind of, it's kind of joking, but I've kind of somewhat kicked the certainty habit a little bit. It's always out there that certainty would be nice, but But I think we've come around the corner long enough to lean on other stuff, to know that you don't really need the certainty.
Okay, so what would make your spiritual life easier? When we say, when will it get easier, what's your definition of it getting easier?
I don't know. I was thinking about that, and there's, what does that even mean, get easier?
That's what we're trying to figure out.
Because it is what it is,
Well, that's the point of the conversation, is that people will go, I want it to be easier, but they don't know actually what from their perspective would generate a sense of feeling easier. And that's what we're realizing is like, wow, if I know what would make it easier, rather than just being, I just want it to be easier.
Well, I think part of it is just making a lot of small incremental choices that facilitates that. Exactly. And if I had to apply that to something, I would think, or just financially over the last few years, just making right choices for a long time, and then all of a sudden it's like, oh wow, things are a lot easier.
Yeah.
And it didn't come overnight, but it came. It was making a decision to make the right choices.
Step by step.
And if you didn't make the right choice, then you're able to just put that in perspective, and have an understanding that you can move on from there and just continue on.
I'm having a little issue with the words right choices and finances. And because who's to say, like when you find yourself with no money, who's to say that that was the right choice? And then, like you screwed up. And then I'm a little triggered by, I guess I'm just wondering about what then. Like you said.
For example, on that would be, this might even be a good example, but the Rolling Stones were coming to town, and I looked it up, and it's $600 a ticket. This wasn't through the StubHub. This was directly right from Ticketmaster. The Ticketmaster fee was $90 per ticket. So I like the Stones. I've always wanted to go to the Stones.
Yeah.
And I probably remember a Stones concert forever. But for Marty and I to go for $1,200, I'll just go buy a Stones album, and kind of appreciate it from afar. Where in the past I might have said, I'm just going to do it, and there might be an occasion where you do it and then you live with it, but it's just those sort of things, like the small things that add up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That is just...
And that's kind of what I'm talking about. I'm not talking about finding yourself in circumstances that are out of your control, because that's its own challenge.
Yeah.
That's its own wall.
So when you say, I want the spiritual journey to be easier, for you it looks like being steady on the path that you have seen create success for you.
Yeah, I'd say that's accurate. If I said I wanted to see it easier, I'd probably want to see, or not want to see, huge events that were kind of real catastrophic game changer type of events. More of a slow and steady than something that was which you deal with and you learn a lot from, but it's those are difficult to handle.
Right.
If that makes any sense.
It does make sense to me, but what I'm imagining right now is when I have gardened in the past, grown vegetables, the moment that the seed germinates is a traumatic event. It's a game changer. It's a huge, huge, huge thing. It goes from being this little pod to breaking in half and something emerging from it. And when you were talking, I just was sort of feeling that sometimes we need a jolt, and then step by, a jolt precedes the ease, or not the ease, but the more flowing moment. I don't know if that even goes with what you were saying, actually, but it's what came to me. It came to me when you said it. I was like, but what about when the seed has to germinate?
You know, yeah, and like you're saying, sometimes the biggest growth comes after, you know, the biggest event, or the, you know, what seems like a difficult event.
In nature, especially, like the forest fire creates the next crop of trees, sort of thing, and flowers and all that stuff.
John, do you feel like things have shifted in the last few months?
I do.
I don't know if you heard us at the beginning, but we were talking about just the shifts that have happened since December.
Yeah, I caught some of it. Then I got stuck on a phone call for a while, so then I just jumped back in. So I haven't heard the whole thing.
Yeah.
But I do. You know, it's the base keeps getting raised. You know, and I think we've seen that a lot recently, and it's just evident on a compare you to you basis.
Yeah.
You know.
If you don't compare you to you, we talked about that a lot today, and I think it's really important. For me, it's the compare you to you, stay on the step that I'm on, and if I find myself seeking the opposite of what I'm experiencing, to recognize that's not necessarily going to get the job done. I have to find the thing that fascinates me, and now. Those things, those three together have been really powerful for me, really super powerful for me.
Yeah, and it's sometimes you don't really realize it until you enter in some sort of situation. Like Donna and I went to they had a UFO panel at the film festival the other day.
Oh, okay.
And we went down there and saw the movie, and it was good. And they had a panel, and I was just listening and I was absorbing it. But the level that they were talking at, I couldn't even enter the conversation. You know. And sometimes you think, wow, these are like the experts, and they're missing half the point. And it was funny because I would have said to Donna, don't even bother, because I knew that she was going to ask a question, and she went ahead and asked it. And they looked at her for about 2 seconds, not a long time, like she was the weirdo in the room, you know. and these are the UFO experts.
Yeah.
And it was like, and then they went to answer the question the best they could. But, you know, I talked to Donna about it afterwards, and I was like, Donna, they just didn't know where to go with that. She's like, I know. And, you know, so sometimes you don't realize it till you take what you've learned and you're in a real world situation.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But then it's just to observe, you know, and say, oh wow, this it's a you to you, you know, like maybe the last time that happened, maybe I would have been triggered that I felt like I didn't get my question answered, or they didn't understand me.
Yeah.
But it's just like they don't even know what they don't know. So you don't get triggered by it because it's just an observation.
Yeah. Thank you so much for joining us today, John. I sure appreciate it.
Indeed.
We're going to see you soon. And
until
then, have a wonderful afternoon. This beautiful sunny weather. Bye-bye.
Right, bye-bye.
Yeah. Let's read the chat board here. Sweet Brown's chimed in again. Clarity for me means to be aware of having the knowing of the truth, isness of myself, a situation, or a thing at a moment of choice. I find that my highest use of free will is to drive me toward clarity. Once I'm aware that I am in clarity, action is automatic. Kind of the choiceless choice idea, where once you're in a state of clarity, the path opens in front of you in a way that makes it very easy to follow. It requires attention to the baggage and static that we find in the moment. You know, what Elohim's been teaching us for years is the baggage and static you find in the moment, and that baggage and static being processed in a way that gets it gone rather than lets it get entrenched. We have about 10 more minutes. If you want to join in, now's the time to call 909-202-8674, 909-202-8674. We'd sure love to hear what you have to say about what you mean when you say, when is the spiritual journey going to get easier? This has been really powerful to kind of realize that, again, everybody sees the world differently, and we can all be going, when is it going to get easier? When is it going to get easier? And talking about completely different things. It's amazing. It's just amazing to me. It really is.
Yeah.
Energetically, it flows in such a way of like, when we try really hard to understand each other and be in community with each other and connect with each other and authentically meet each other's needs if we can, if we don't take that extra beat to say, what is it you're really looking for? You know, it's like when someone's in the kitchen and they're banging around in the kitchen and you're like, what are you looking for? And you know right where it is.
Mm-hmm.
If you don't ask, you'll, right?
Right.
We've got another caller. I'm going to squeeze them in. Hang on, caller. Okay. Hi, caller from area code 510. How are you today?
Hi, Veronica. It's Renee.
Hey, Renee. How are you?
I'm good. I'm at work. But now I just had a customer walk in. But I just wanted to say that I am not really interested in having my spiritual path be easier. I'm more interested in finding the creations along the way and create ease rather than to expect it or look for it in certain ways.
Mm-hmm. I think that's a healthier way to go about it. It's more likely to result in peace.
Yeah, I would think. So far it's been working really well.
That's excellent.
You know, just by being open to the possibilities and dealing with the static intruders along the way, you create your own ease.
Yeah. That's a good point.
Yeah.
It's a good point. Are we supposed to engage you in conversation, or are we supposed to let you off the phone?
I have to go.
All right. Well, thanks for the contribution. I think it was an important one. I appreciate it.
Okay. Love you guys. Bye.
Love you
Bye.
too. Enjoy. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Good point.
Really good point. It's a really good point to end on. It's really helpful.
And, you know, I'm uncomfortable that there was so much static during our conversation, but it wasn't with everybody, so I have no idea why it's happening, but we'll try to find out. Sorry, folks, if that was distracting. Just randomly get static from one person and not the other. I don't know. We're still learning about this whole Blog Talk system, and we have a few kinks to work out. But as I was saying earlier, is like when you see someone banging around in the kitchen, and it's very clear they're looking for something. What are you looking for? Especially if it's a guest, right? What are you looking for? Oh, I'm looking for the colander. Well, it's down there. Oh, okay, good. And then they've got the solution.
Mm-hmm.
As we talked about through the whole show on this spiritual journey, there's no outward evidence or very little outward evidence of the process you're in. So you can be standing in the kitchen and having an internal bang around just like you're looking for something. And if you're not able to say, this is what I need, this is what I'm looking for, this is what I'm searching for,
right,
I can't help you.
Right.
I mean, I've got a small advantage because I kind of am a psychic, so sometimes I know. But I also don't let that happen, right? Because that's my sanity, preserving my own sanity. I think that's a good visual, the banging around in the kitchen visual.
Yeah.
And again, falls back to that, how do we have evidence of progress, is in the kitchen, if you're looking for the colander, okay, you get it, you strain the pasta and we eat dinner, we had progress. We needed the colander to get to dinner. In the spiritual journey, there's none of that evidence, except for one day you go, wow, I'm not triggered by this thing that used to trigger me. And I have to believe that our community feels that, but they may not realize they're feeling it. They just may feel more relaxed around us, easier to talk to us, not as afraid to bring things up that they're stressed about or confused about or triggered by. And we're responsible for our own indicators of progress.
Right.
Okay. That sounds like a good place to stop. All right, everyone, thanks so much for joining us. We haven't set the date for the next show, but most likely it looks to me like it fits in on about May 13th. Look for an Elohim Encores later in the month. I will put up a show from February 2009 that is getting rave reviews by the folks that are reviewing this. And you can also listen to previous episodes of our program. We have one on fear, one on money, one on Elohim tools, and our first Elohim Encores by visiting our Blog Talk page. You can always learn more on my website, Eloheim.com. That's ELOHEIM.com. We have 372 videos on the YouTube channel. I looked yesterday. 372 videos on YouTube. Search for Elohim channel to get onto those videos. And remember, our Wednesday night meetings are on the 2nd and 4th Wednesdays of the month. That means we'll meet again on April 24th. That will be at new.livestream.com/Elohim. And if you're thinking about booking a private session with Elohim, now is the time. The rates will go up on May 1st. So book now to get the best rate. All right, everybody. Thanks again. Thanks, Sue.
Yep, thank you.
Thanks to all the callers and the folks in the chat. We've enjoyed very much being with you. It is an absolute honor to share this journey. Have a beautiful, 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 beautiful experience. Bye-bye.
We hope you'll join Veronica and Sue again next time. Until then, visit Eloheim.com. That's ELOHEIM.com to learn more about the teachings of the Council and their multitude of practical tools, which support our journey out of the fear-based operating system into the consciousness-based operating system. You can also see their growing library of books at Eloheim.com/books or view videos at YouTube.com/Elohim channel. Elohim and Veronica, making the choice for consciousness.